Barefoot and Brave. The shocking interview that changed a poor girl's life forever. In a small rundown town where dreams seemed shackled by poverty, a girl named Lily dared to dream beyond her surroundings. Barefoot and brave, she was the underdog everyone overlooked. Her scraggly hair danced wildly in the wind, and the dirt on her face told stories of struggle and survival. But she possessed a spark, an unyielding fire in her soul that flickered even in the darkest moments. It was a fire that could not be snuffed out, not even by the weight of the world pressing down on her. What nobody knew was that Lily had a secret one that bubbled beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to explode. Every night, as the moon cast eerie shadows over her makeshift home, she scribbled her hopes and fears into a weathered notebook, its pages filled with dreams that seemed impossible. In her heart, she believed she had the power to change her story. The day arrived when a local news team came to town to film a documentary on inspiring tales. The air was electric with anticipation. People crowded around, their faces twisted in curiosity and skepticism. Would this girl, this barefoot dreamer, actually have something worth sharing? Just then, a mysterious figure stepped out from the crowd. Rumors whispered he was a talent scout, someone who could change destinies with a single nod. The camera lenses glinted in the sun as he pointed toward Lily, his gaze intense. All eyes turned. Could she actually be the one to catch his attention? Just as she stepped forward, heart racing, the crowd gasped. A loud crash shattered the moment, as a nearby vehicle skidded and tumbled over. The buzz of energy transformed into a deafening silence, a shared breath held tight in the throats of the onlookers. Lily felt a lump in her throat. What did this mean for her moment? Was fate playing games? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the commotion settled, their eyes returned to Lily, this lost girl of the town. With trembling hands, she inhaled deeply, drawing in the weight of the world and pushing it out with one shattering declaration. I'm not just a girl from here. I have a voice. But would that voice be heard? The doubt still lingered in the air, thick like a fog refusing to clear, leaving everyone a mix of hope and fear, waiting for the next twist in this wild story. What awaited Lily beyond that moment of decision? Would her dream finally take flight? Or would life's harsh reality stomp it back into the ground? As the last echoes of the crash faded into the distance, uncertainty hung heavy in the air. The crowd remained frozen, eyes still glued to Lily. A cold sweat trickled down her back as people began to murmur, their voices blending into a chorus of anxiety. She felt the weight of their gazes, 1,000 unspoken questions hanging between them. Suddenly, like a spark igniting a forest, the talent scout took a bold step forward. His eyes pierced through the crowd, a mix of intrigue and urgency lighting up his features. Did you see that? Let us not let this moment slip away. He turned towards Lily, his expression softening. Your time is now. Be brave. Show them who you are. His words wrapped around her, fierce and warm. With every heartbeat, her doubts began to melt. What if this was the moment she had been waiting for? Fighting against the urge to retreat into the shadows, she lifted her chin slightly, her heart swelling with determination. Listen up, Lily called out, her voice ringing clear and strong above the whispers. I may be from here, but I have dreams that go beyond these streets, beyond what you see. Instantly the crowd quieted, each face painted with a mix of shock and curiosity. Just as she prepared to share her dreams, her secret writing that she had nurtured in the darkness, another sound invaded the air. A shrill scream pierced the tension. It was a woman rushing toward the chaos, tears streaming down her face. My son! Where is my son? The distraction shattered Lily's moment. Chaos erupted as the crowd swarmed toward the distressed mother. Hearts pounded with panic, each person yearning to help, yet paralyzed with uncertainty. Lily's heart raced along with them. She hesitated, torn between the desire to assist and the conviction that this was her moment to shine. But then she remembered her notebook. It was filled with heart, pain, and hope, words that had the power to change lives, including her own. She reached into her pocket, grasping the worn pages tightly. "Let me help," she shouted, pushing through the throng, her bare feet barely touching the ground. The weight of her dreams collided with the pull of urgency. What was she meant to do? Would she be an echo in the crowd, or could she make a difference here now? "Lily." Someone called her name, a friend from school, desperate and wide-eyed. "The boy is down there by the crashed car." The urgency coursed through Lily like a surge of adrenaline. Without thinking, she bolted toward the scene of the accident. A small figure lay curled on the pavement, his small form twisted and vulnerable. Panic set in. They needed help, and fast. "Stay back. Clear the way. I need room," she yelled, kneeling beside the boy. He was hurt but breathing. Relief washed over her for the briefest moment before it was doused again in doubt. Was she brave enough to handle this? Lily took a deep breath, pushing fear aside. She leaned down, speaking gently to the boy. "You're going to be okay. Just hold on." But as the sirens wailed in the distance, mixing with the voices of the crowd, she felt a rush of dread. Was she truly ready to bear the weight of hope on her tiny shoulders? And then she sensed movement behind her, shadows shifting as figures approached. Were they paramedics? Or were they something more sinister, watchers waiting to judge her every decision? What did they see in her? And would they recognize the fire that refused to go out? The world around her felt like it was teetering on the edge, caught between salvation and desperation. With destiny hanging in the balance, Lily's heart raced. Would this moment define her? Or would she be swallowed by the swirling chaos? In that heartbeat, she realized. The real question was whether she had the strength to step into the unknown, or if fear would wrap its icy fingers around her dreams. And as she began to rise, a chilling realization crept over her. What if the truth lurking in her heart was the very thing that could set her free? Would she dare to share it, risking everything she had built, her dreams, her safety, her voice? For in this moment of life and death, everything she believed would be challenged in ways she could never have imagined. The sirens blared louder now, closer, but the sound faded into the background as Lily focused on the boy before her. His small frame was crumpled, the remnants of innocence etched across his dirt-stained cheeks. She could hear the frantic breaths of the crowd around her, like the waves crashing against the rocks, relentless and full of urgency. "Stay with me. You're going to be okay," she muttered, though her voice trembled in the face of doubt. How could she be sure? The weight of fear pressed against her chest, hard and suffocating as she knelt there. The figures behind her came into view. Paramedics, sure enough, were rushing toward them. Their uniforms glistened under the streetlights, a stark contrast to the chaos unfolding. But it wasn't just the rescue workers catching her eye. In the shadows, a man stood with a small camera slung around his neck, watching intently. Her heartbeat quickened. Was it another talent scout? Or perhaps an opportunist, looking to spin the accident into sensational news? The boy winced, and she jerked her attention back to him. "Can you hear me?" He blinked, his eyes glassy. "Mom," the word fell from his lips like a drop of water in a barren desert. And then chaos erupted all over again. Before she could comfort him further, the paramedics swooped in, taking control of the situation with practiced ease. Lily stepped back. One shouted as they moved into action, assessing the child's condition. She felt like a ghost, hovering on the fringe of importance, wanting to dive in and help but feeling utterly pointless. The dying light of the day began to pull away, blanketing the scene in a dark cloak, and suddenly the murmurs of the crowd shifted. Pity, fear, and intrigue rippled through those gathered. The spectators transformed into an audience witnessing a tragedy unfold. Just then, her friend from school appeared at her side, her face pale. "What is happening? Did you see how badly?" "I don't know." Lily's voice was sharp, cutting through the haze of panic. "We need to help him." But even her words sounded weak as she watched the paramedics working feverishly, and dread clawed at her throat. The boy's mother was nowhere to be found. Had she been caught in the turmoil, lost amongst the crowd? The realization hit her like a slap. Where was the mom? What if she never got to say goodbye? Lily. A new figure emerged, the town mayor. Clad in a tailored suit that contrasted starkly with the situation at hand, he radiated authority but looked just as lost. "What's the boy's name?" I don't know. He was just playing. Panic clouded her voice. She could feel the weight of judgment creeping in from all sides. It's a small town, someone must know. He insisted, scanning the crowd. Lily's mind raced. What if this boy never got to see his mother again? The crowd stirred with murmurs of speculation, eyes darting toward her. Was she a hero, a coward, or simply a child caught in a grown-up dilemma? An idea sparked within her. She remembered the voices of the crowd, how they had listened when she had dared to speak. Listen, she called out, a flame igniting in her chest. We need to find this boy's mom. If anyone knows her, please step forward. Silence enveloped the group, and for a moment, the world felt suspended, holding its breath. The shadows shifted and the crowd began to relent. Then, like a wave crashing onto the shore, voices flooded in, people eager to help. I saw her earlier. I know where she might be. But just as hope ignited, the man from the shadows moved closer, his camera rolling now, capturing every moment. With a merciless smile, he stepped into the light. And what will you do next, Lily? Save the boy? Make a name for yourself? Her gut clenched at the sound of his taunts. He was right there, eyes glinting with anticipation, waiting for her to either fall or rise. The truth surged within her once more. She felt the heat of her dreams surging back, mingling with the fear that threatened to consume her. Could this be the pivotal moment that would turn the tide, not just for herself but for the boy too? As the crowd rallied behind her, their whispers turning to shouts of encouragement, she knew this was her crossroads. It was time to either lean into her fears or falter. Just hold on for a little longer. She shouted to the boy, her voice steadying as realization collided with courage. But as darkness fell, one question lingered in the air, waiting to be answered. Would she seize this hour of reckoning, or would she let it slip away like the fading sirens in the night? The air thickened with anxiety as the crowd buzzed around Lily, each voice a thread woven into the tapestry of urgency. The boy's pale face flickered in her mind, the way his frail body trembled under the weight of what had just happened. She wasn't just a bystander anymore. Every heartbeat felt like a plea, not just for the boy's mother but for her own courage to bubble to the surface. The paramedics worked methodically, but with every second Lily felt her insides twist tighter, a knot forming in the pit of her stomach. You're going to be okay, she whispered again, as if those words could somehow create a shield against the swirling chaos. But then the mayor's voice cut through her thoughts, fervent and frantic. We need to establish the boy's identity. Every second counts. He turned to the crowd, eyes scanning faces. Who was with him? Who saw where she went? Murmur surged like a tide, hope rising and crashing again as people tried to remember through their own shock. But that looming figure with the camera loomed larger now, the lens capturing every quiver and gasp. Look at her, folks. The hero of the moment. Isn't this just delightful? His voice dripped with derision, striking like ice through the collective warmth of concern. Stop it! Lily shouted, her voice cutting through the noise, ringing out in defiance. This isn't a game. We're trying to save a life. The crowd quieted, and for a moment, it felt like they were all holding their breath together. But doubt crept back like a shadow. Was she doing enough? Was she simply talking while the boy slipped further away? Her eyes raked through the mass of strangers. Please. If anyone knows his name, or anything about his mother, we need to find her. One older woman stepped forward, wringing her hands. I saw her at the playground just before it happened. She had a red jacket. Oh God, where could she be now? The suddenness of that detail, the image of a frantic mother searching, shook Lily. The playground, she urged, her pulse racing. We should go there. Maybe she's looking for him. Before she knew it, she was moving, the crowd parting as if she radiated light, her heart hammering like a drum. In those split seconds, the fear began to morph into resolve. Together with the crowd, they surged toward the playground, sounds of determination filling the air. But as they rounded the corner, confusion struck. The playground was eerily quiet, swings still and the sandpit untouched. Where is she? Lily cried out, feeling panic claw at her throat. Had they lost her in the chaos? Suddenly, a ripple of commotion rose behind her. The man with the camera was close now, a predator in the wild ready to pounce. Lily, do you think that chasing after shadows will really save his life? What if the truth is that you can't? His taunts hung like a loud gong, unnerving and disdainful. "Shut up," she snapped, spinning to face him. "Just stop it. What do you even know about saving anyone?" His smirk faded for a moment, replaced by something darker, more calculating. "I know a moment like this could turn you into a legend or a joke. Which one will it be?" The crowd hesitated, weighing her determination against his sneering challenge. Fear coiled tightly around her heart again. "I'm not here for glory, I'm here for him." But a sudden scream pierced the air. A woman in a red jacket dashed toward them, eyes wild with desperate fear. "My baby! Where's my baby?" Time slowed. The woman's anguish splashed across the scene, igniting a cascade of reactions. Instinct pulled Lily forward. That's her. That's the boy's mother. As the woman stumbled closer, Lily felt a spark. This was it. The moment that could change everything. But as the mother approached, something glimmered in the shadows, catching the light. The man with the camera was pressing the record button again, clearly relishing this unfolding drama. "Lily, what will you do when you face her? Will you share your spotlight? Or will you turn this into your own story?" He taunted again, laughter bubbling beneath the surface. Lily felt her throat tighten. She looked back to the now frantic mother. Those desperate eyes locked onto hers, begging for answers. The horror of realization crashed over her. The stakes were climbing higher, and they were about to tip into darkness as she realized the weight of her choices. A chilling question echoed in her mind. Would she uplift the mother in this crucial moment, or would she allow the specter of misunderstanding to cast another shadow on her character? What would her courage reveal or hide when faced with the truth behind that camera? The mother stumbled closer, her anguished face contorting as she searched for her child amid the throng. "I saw him. I was just there," she cried, desperation clawing at her throat. Lily felt her heart race, a lump swelling in her chest. This woman needed support, not judgment. She looked like she was about to crumble as she approached. The camera lens swung from Lily to the mother like a predator stalking its prey. "Focus over here," the man shouted into the crowd, drawing the gaze of onlookers. "What's your story, lady? How do you feel about losing your baby?" His voice, mocking and sharp, sliced through the mother's fearful cries. Lily's blood boiled. "Stop it!" she yelled again, louder this time, her voice trembling with urgency. "This isn't about a story. It's about a life. We need to help her." The crowd swayed, unsure. Some whispered among themselves, their faces mixed with pity and intrigue. Dread washed over Lily, the weight of the moment pressing down on her like a heavy cloak. She took a step forward, hoping to protect the mother from the chilling gaze of the camera. But the man wasn't finished. "What are you going to do, Lily? Are you her savior? Or are you just here for the drama?" At that, the crowd stirred, eyes darting between the camera, Lily, and the wounded mother. The tension crackled in the air, each heartbeat sinking to an uncomfortable rhythm. "Please," the mother gasped, her breath hitching. "Where is he? I don't know what I'd do without him, Dre." The name burst from her lips, filled with desperation. Lily swallowed hard as she processed the revelation. Dre. Tears prickled at the corners of her eyes. This was the name, the human attached to the frail figure they fought to save. The boy had a name, a glow of life connected to the frantic soul in front of her, a mother searching for hope. "Dre is going to be okay," Lily said, her voice steadier than she felt. "We're going to find him. Just stay with me." The woman's wild eyes met hers, and in them, Lily saw a flicker of recognition. "You'll help me?" "I promise," Lily said, fierce determination breathing life into her words. But before she could reach out to comfort the mother, the man with the camera laughed again, cruel and cutting. "What a perfect little moment. Look at her, everyone. The brave girl with the fading hope." His voice dripped with venom, and Lily felt the crowd's gaze shift. Fear and anxiety swelled in the air, thick enough to choke on. "Shut up," Lily nearly screeched, frustration boiling over. Felt like a breaking point. This isn't a performance. This woman needs her child. The realization hit hard. This wasn't just about saving a boy. It was about facing a world that didn't care about the humanity tangled in their stories. A world that thrived on spectacle and drama. "Every moment matters right now," the mayor shouted into the chaos, his eyes wide and frantic as he clapped his hands for attention. "Does anyone know where the child might be?" But the cameraman just smirked. "Lily, answer him. Where's the exclusivity in your heart? The question loomed like a storm cloud, and in that moment Lily felt utterly exposed. Could she balance the weight of the mother's anguish with the cruel lens of judgment that hovered over them? In that split second the air thickened again. She needed to make a decision, and fast. "Listen," she shouted, channeling every ounce of conviction. "If you know anything about Dre, anything at all, now is the time to speak up." A tense silence stretched across the crowd, but then a boy in the back shouted, "I saw him running toward the creek." A spark ignited in the crowd hope, but fear buzzed just beneath the surface, a collective breath waiting to be released. "Okay," Lily urged, "let us go. We have to hurry." But as they surged forward, the cameraman's voice drifted behind them, dripping with cynicism. "Who will you become when this is all over, Lily? Don't let the spotlight dim your heart." As they tore through the park, adrenaline igniting her legs, panic clawed at Lily. What awaited them at the creek? Would they find Dre in time? Or would they be too late, caught in the jaws of fate? The darkness loomed heavy ahead, and every step felt weighted with uncertainty. Would her courage hold up? Or would it all crumble under the pressure of what still lay ahead? The ground beneath Lily's feet became a blur as she sprinted, her heart pounding a wild rhythm against her ribs. To her left, the mother stumbled, barely keeping pace. The woman's cries echoed in Lily's mind, frantic yet driven by a fierce love. "Dre!" she shouted again, her voice slicing through the murmur of the crowd like a desperate prayer. They pushed through the trees lining the park, branches brushing against their arms like ghostly fingers. The path narrowed ahead, and a sinking feeling gripped Lily's stomach. The creek wasn't too far, but would they arrive in time? Each breath felt heavy, coated with fear. A sudden chill swept through the air, and the distant sound of rushing water teased her ears. "Stay close," Lily urged the mother, who nodded, her face pale but determined. The crowd surged behind them, a mixed wave of hopeful faces and breathless whispers. The mayor jogged a few steps to keep up, calling for calm but sounding more panicked than authoritative. Moments later, they burst into a small clearing by the creek. Sunlight filtered through the canopy above, casting a golden hue over the water. But it was the sight before them that paralyzed Lily. It was a scene that shattered the fleeting moment of hope. The creek flowed swiftly, tumbling over rocks and roots, but that wasn't what drew the horrified gasps from the crowd. There, barely visible beneath the foaming surface, was a small shoe, the unmistakable form of a child's sneaker. Lily's breath caught. A ripple of shock reverberated through the gathering crowd. The mother clasped her hands to her chest, her eyes wide, disbelief etched across her features. "No, no, no, no," she wailed, folding in on herself, the weight of the world crashing down around her. "Dre!" Lily screamed, her voice choked and raw. Adrenaline propelled her forward, her instincts screaming at her to jump into the icy waters, to save him. But something held her back, a gut-wrenching fear of what she might find. "Lily!" Someone shouted, a face from the crowd she recognized. It was Jake, a high school friend, his expression a mix of dread and determination. "We need to call for help. Get a boat." Panic rose within her, but then something shifted in the air. The crowd began to murmur, voices rising in a flood of confused anxiety. Some started taking their phones out, dialing numbers, while others backed away, drawn to an invisible line of fear. "Do something," the mother cried, the raw edge of her voice shattering something in Lily. "Please, just help him." With a steely resolve, she nodded to Jake and turned back to the creek. "I'll go in," she declared, each word echoing louder than her heartbeat. The noise of disbelief rippled through the crowd. "Are you insane?" Jake shouted. "You can't just jump in." But the mother's desperate gaze anchored Lily. It was time for courage beyond measure. She didn't reply. She just stepped forward, her toes feeling the slick, cold mud beneath her. She couldn't wait for others to decide what to do. Every moment felt crucial. "Lily, wait!" Someone yelled, but the world faded around her, consumed by the heightening chaos and the singular focus on the boy. She could feel the icy water chill her skin as she waded deeper, the current pulling at her legs. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed through the trees, the unmistakable sound of a breaking branch. The crowd gasped, turning toward the noise, forgetting everything for a brief moment. Fear morphed into awe, pulsing through the air like a convulsive wave. "What was that?" Jake yelled, eyes darting, but Lily couldn't afford to be distracted. She needed to keep moving, keep searching, keep believing. Then, as the creek surged around her, something caught her eye, a flicker of color just beneath the surface. Her heart soared and plummeted all at once. Was that him? Did she just see Dre? Her stomach twisted with hope and trepidation as she dove deeper, aware that time was slipping through her fingers like the water she desperately fought through. Would she bring him back? Or was this just a mirage? The shadows loomed around her, uncertainty intertwining with determination. What awaited Lily below, trapped in that rushing current? And as she submerged into the darkness, her thoughts turned frantic. Did she even have enough courage for what lay just out of reach? Lily plunged into the frigid water, the shock of it stealing her breath. The world above faded, swallowed by the rushing current, but the flicker of color lingered in her mind. Dre, was that really him? She kicked her legs, pushing down deeper, her hands flailing through the murky water as if fighting against nightmares. The water tugged at her, cold fingers wrapping around her legs, making every movement heavier. Panic clawed at her throat. She gasped for air, but it was swallowed by the current, the creek surging like a heartbeat gone wild. The light from the surface dimmed, swallowed by darkness, and isolation wrapped around her like a thick fog. Another movement caught her eye, a shadow darting past her. Was it him? Grasping for something solid, her fingers brushed against a slippery rock, sending her tumbling sideways. She fought to right herself, instinctively twisting her body to face the unseen danger, every nerve screaming to escape the depths. Time blurred. Every second stretched into infinity as reality began to warp. The air around her crackled with desperation, and all she could hear were muffled sound shouts from above, splashes that might have been Jake's futile attempts to reach her, or could they be cries of the onlookers? Lily had no way of knowing. A moment later, her fingers grazed the soft fabric of what could only be a small shirt, light blue, matching the color of the shoe she had seen. She grasped it tightly, her heart pounding like thunder in her chest. Dre. She pulled hard, fighting against the stream as panic surged again. Images of his smile, the way he'd light up at the mention of adventure, filled her mind. Hold on, Dre. I'm coming, she shouted, though the words were lost to the water that engulfed her. Breathless and desperate, she grabbed a handful of the shirt and kicked harder. The current fought back, pulling at her relentlessly. Just as she felt she might be losing her grip, she caught a glimpse again, a flash of his sneakers, partially submerged in the debris below. Determination surged through her. She couldn't let go. With renewed resolve, she kicked harder, propelling herself toward him. Every inch felt like a fight against despair, against the rising dread swelling around her. Suddenly, a weight shifted behind her. She turned, disoriented, just in time to see a figure emerging through the fog of water, a flash of brown hair and frantic eyes. Jake. Relief crashed over her, oddly mixed with anger that he had followed her in. Lily. Grab my hand, he yelled, extending his arm toward her. But instead of taking it, she shook her head, desperation fueling her movements. No, I need to get him. She could see Dre now, his little body bobbing in the water just beyond her reach, innocent and vulnerable as the cascade tried to swallow him whole. I'll help. Just let me. But Lily silenced Jake with a fierce look and dove back down, searching. The current fought against her, angry and relentless. Her lungs screamed for air, but the image of Dre's face drove her deeper. The seconds pushed into minutes as determination pushed her body. Just when she thought she might drown, her fingers brushed against something warm, flesh, small and cold. She clasped it tight. I got you. Suddenly, a horrible crack sounded above, louder than before. A surge of fear shot through her, but she couldn't focus on that now. She had to bring him to the surface. With every ounce of strength, she kicked upward, pulling Dre with her as they broke through the surface. But the air she gasped in was mixed with more screams, the reality of shouting, horrified faces flooding her vision. Lily, I can't. She felt Dre slipping, unresponsive beneath her grip, and her heart sank in sync. No, she shouted frantically. Just as she reached for him again, a shadow loomed above, a devastating presence pulling her back down. The tidal wave of voices echoed around her, but she only heard her own pounding heartbeat through the chaos. The ground beneath them shuddered, and she turned to see what was happening. The world shifted again. The current was pulling, drawing both children deep. But what had broken in the trees? Why did the air feel electric with terror? Suddenly, two strong hands gripped her arms, dragging her back again. But something was wrong. Something was changing. And as she looked deep into the water where shadows twirled, she realized, what if Dre wasn't he the only thing in that creek? What dark force had awakened beneath the surface? The water churned violently around Lily, a swirling vortex that seemed intent on claiming them both. Dre's weight felt like lead in her arms, his small body limp. No. She gasped as desperation flooded her veins. She fought against the hands gripping her, pulling her up, but it felt as if the water itself was alive, writhing, surging, trying to shield whatever entity lurked below. Lily squinted through the muddied depths, desperately seeking Dre's face. But shadows danced around her, grim and sinister. They seemed to whisper, taunting her with what they guarded. Her heart hammered in her chest, but panic restrained her voice. She was losing precious moments that mattered more than anything in the world. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through her leg, a searing nip from something unseen. She recoiled, the blood pooling in her mind turning into a shroud of fear. Was that a fish? The current twisted. She was spun around, her grip on Dre slackening. "Help!" she screamed, but the words spiraled into shoals of silence. For a second she hesitated, water streaming into her mouth. Her lungs screamed for air, but she couldn't leave him. Another tug at her leg pulled her down again. Every instinct told her to ascend, to claw her way back to the surface, but the thought of abandoning Dre twisted her into a knot of helplessness. "Lily!" Jake's voice came like a beacon, but it was distant, muffled. She glimpsed him struggle against the water, the ripples of his determination evident even amid chaos. "I have you. Trust me." The shadows beneath writhed, the water grew colder, and an unnatural force readied itself, coiling as if to strike. Something deep within her, however, sparked. She was not a passive bystander anymore. She was a fighter. With one firm motion, she brushed the creeping dread aside, focusing solely on Dre. She took a deep, anguished breath, her eyes narrowing as she plunged deeper, reaching for him. Her fingers slid against his shirt, finding the warmth of his small frame. "Hold on, buddy," she murmured, lifting him with every ounce of will she possessed. Then the world around her darkened again, a pulse thundering as she heard the ominous crack echoing above. She resurfaced, the air suddenly brighter, but the cries from the shore faltered into whispers of horror. The faces of the onlookers distorted with fear and shock. Jake was there, still calling out to her, something urgent lacing his tone. "Get away from the water," he shouted, panic shivering through his words. Then she turned, compelled by a force she didn't understand, and she saw it, a shadow unfurling from the depths. It was massive, curling like smoke yet tangible, as if the very essence of the creek had come alive. "Lily!" Jake cried again, his voice a desperate plea. The water rippled and she felt a rush of energy, a malevolence lurking in the debris, the darkness stretching to envelop both her and Dre again, to reclaim what it had lost. "No!" Lily screamed, desperation clawing at her throat. With Dre still clutched in her arms, she kicked back toward Jacob, the shore looking both nearer and farther now as the shadow loomed larger. A wave crashed around them, sending her spiraling. There was a flash of color again, those familiar sneakers disappearing into the maw of the creek. "Dre!" she screamed. He was slipping, and the horror coursing through her made her tremble. Just as she felt herself pulled back, something utterly chilling whispered from the depths. It was neither voice nor sound, but a feeling, an understanding that the creek was alive and hungry. What if they had awakened something far worse than drowning? With fear flooding through her, she kicked harder, muscles burning with the effort. Time stilled as she fought to reach the surface, drowning out the fear circling around her. Would they make it in time? Lily's heart crushed under the weight of the unknown as the shadow loomed again, looming closer, reaching for them both. And just as she thought she could break free, a hand surged from below, gripping her ankle like a vice. Pulled her down again. What had risen wasn't just a beast of nature. Something was hunting them. Something dark and ancient. "Lily!" Jake's voice echoed in her mind, blending into the dreadful silence, but would it be enough? What had she unwittingly released beneath the surface? Lily's lungs burned with the weight of the water pressing down around her, slivers of panic clawing their way into her thoughts. The hand that gripped her ankle was relentless, pulling her into the darkness. In that moment she realized how trivial the world above had seemed. Time lost its meaning, the line between life and something far more sinister began to blur. She fought against the drag of the murky depths, flipping and twisting with all her might. She could feel Dre slipping away from her grasp, a slick weight in the torrent. No, she gasped, but the word was nothing, a whisper lost to the roar of the creek from the depths. The dark figure seemed sentient, an ancient being both aware and alive. The tendrils of shadow tangled around her limbs, wrapping tighter with every ounce of desperation she expended. It felt heavy, as if the water itself conspired against her. A flash surged in her mind. The terrified faces on the bank, people caught between horror and disbelief. Jake! She thought, her heart racing as she kicked futilely against the hold beneath. The shadows thickened, and a chill enveloped her whole being. It wasn't he just pulling her down. It was dragging her spirit into a vortex, a furious storm wrapped in dread. Suddenly, at the edge of her vision, something glimmered, a sliver of light, the surface above. If she could just reach it. The thought surged her forward, past the crushing weight, past the shadow clawing at her sanity. She imagined Jake's face, steady and determined, a lifeline in the chaos. Dre. She gritted through gritted teeth. Stay with me. Focusing on his small form, she felt the waves twisting again, pulling, urging her to submit. But she wasn't going to allow that. With one last effort, Lily wrenched her leg free, twisting her body to grab his shirt. The grip released suddenly, a confused swirl of the water leaving her momentarily dazed. But only for a heartbeat. She kicked, she clawed, and she thrashed, sending herself upward. Come on, she cried, every beat of her heart a prayer. Just as her fingertips grazed the surface, the shadows beneath roared, rising like a tempest. She burst through the shimmering curtain of water, gasping for air. But the moment was fleeting. She glimpsed a monstrous shape coiling back into the deep, a figure swirling, dark like the nightmares that made children wake in tears. Jake was there, arms outstretched as she gasped again, dragging her upward with an urgency that left her trembling. Dre's unmoving form bobbed beside them, a fragile doll lost in a storm. Lily, Jake's voice slid into her ears, a tether of hope laced with fear. What just happened? Did you see it? She looked back into the churning water, breathless with disbelief. What was that? She rasped. The water was calm now, but she could feel the remnants of something terrible brewing beneath. They had stirred a beast, one hungry for something more than just their lives. Before Jake could reply, a piercing shriek shattered the air. The sound echoes like a wailing siren. The onlookers gasped, stepping back from the edge, uncertainty rimming their eyes. What was that? Someone shouted from the bank, voices trembling. The shadows beneath shimmered ominously again, sending ripples through the creek, and this time they felt it, an overwhelming sense of dread. Dre wasn't moving. Lily's heart sank into her stomach. Dre. She frantically clutched his shoulders, shaking him, hoping to find warmth. Wake up, please. But he lay still, the water lapping around him as if cradling him in an embrace. Despair surged inside her chest. Had they really escaped? Or had they awakened something worse than drowning itself? Clutching her brother close, a shiver crept up her spine. The water roiled, and she instinctively shielded Dre with her body, feeling the sinister pulse beneath as if it was alive. Turning back to seek what it had lost, a voice fractured the air, a guttural growl echoing from the depths, resounding in dreadful resonance, warning them both not to come back. Lily, we need to go now, Jake urged, propelling her toward the muddy shore where fear had ignited a panic. But as they stumbled to safety, Lily's heart raced, battling between dread and the desperate hope that grasped at her through the embers of fear. They were not safe yet. What dark vendetta had they awakened? What would it take to stop it? Lily, still clutching Dre, stumbled to the creek's edge, heart pounding like a war drum. The screams and terrified gasps of the onlookers melted into a cacophony of voices as she pulled Dre closer. His little body felt lifeless in her arms, reality crashing down like the cold water she had just escaped. Dre, please wake up, she cried, shaking him gently. Panic gripped her chest, making it hard to breathe. You have to be okay. Jake was right by her side, urgency in his eyes as he shouted for help. Someone call 911. Get something. His words echoed in the chaos, a frantic plea. The crowd hesitated, confusion swirling like shadows, each person frozen in disbelief. But Lily felt the simmer of determination rising within her. The flicker of hope ignited again. This wasn't just about her anymore, it was about Dre. He needed her now. Someone help me. Lily yelled into the bustling crowd, feeling as if the very earth tilted beneath her. We can't just stand here. He.s. not breathing. Suddenly, someone broke through the line of terrified faces. It was the mayor, his suit rumpled and arms outstretched. Let me. I'll do CPR. He called, rushing forward. Lily stepped back, unwilling to let anyone else take him from her grasp. No. I can do it. I know how. She'd learned it for moments just like this, not thinking she'd be using it so soon. Lily, please. Jake's voice cut through the rising panic. You have to trust him. Lily nodded, but she couldn't let go. Tears streamed freely down her face as she placed Dre on the grass, the dying light of day flickering over them like a broken promise. She held onto his small body, breathing into his chest, hoping, praying with each pump of her hands. She felt a mix of fear and power. The world around her blurred as she concentrated on bringing him back. Come on, Dre. Don't leave me. Each word felt like an anchor, tethering her back to reality. The mayor took over, his hands moving with practiced ease as he continued her work. The fear washed over her like the creek itself, cold and counterproductive. Voices shifted back to her, murmurs of awe mixing with horror. Look, they're bringing him back. Someone called out, disbelief echoing painfully in the air. But it didn't feel real to Lily. It felt like a nightmare, a suffocating presence wrapping around her dreams. She watched the frantic movements, heart racing with each heartbeat that seemed to fight against the inevitable. Dre remained slack, lost in a fragile world, his skin pale under the fading light. The moments dissolved into a blur as pulse after pulse seemed to drone along, mixing with her own racing heartbeat. Please fight, baby. Fight, she urged, but would he hear her? Then after what felt like hours but was only minutes, Dre shuddered. A small gasp punctured the tension as the air rushed back into his tiny lungs, his eyes fluttering open. Dre. Lily shrieked, tears spilling onto his cheeks. You're okay. Please be okay. Dre coughed, spluttering water as the mayor rolled him to his side. That's it. He's breathing. Someone yelled, and the crowd erupted into relief. But something lingered behind, a dark force wrapping around them all. The creek shimmered unfriendly now, as if claiming its sacrifice even in this moment of triumph. Lily turned, eyes still bright with worry. What about the thing in the water? She asked in a whisper, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. Jake grabbed her hand, determination now spiking his voice. Not now. Focus on Dre. Together they pulled him back, relief flooding their hearts as he coughed and gasped. Yet the shadows moved, silent and threatening, lurking just below the surface. The police sirens wailed in the distance, that crest of authority breaking through the murky uncertainty. As medics began to take control, clearing the area, Lily slowly began to believe they'd emerged from the chaos. She felt Jake's hand squeeze hers, grounding her as the world shifted back into perspective. Lily, you did amazing, he whispered, awe and respect woven between his words. Dre, finally able to sit up, looked directly at Lily. Did we do it? Are we okay? Yes, buddy. You're okay. Lily sobbed, embracing him tightly, feeling his warmth against her. In that moment, all the chaos of the past hours began to slip away, replaced by the fierce pulse of love that bound them together. But as the crowd dispersed and the air chilled around them, a shadow flickered in the creek. It writhed, curling up the bank, threatening to rise again. In that flicker of darkness, her heart raced and she swallowed hard. This wasn't over, not yet. Lily. Jake's voice pulled her back, panic etched across his features. We need to move. We can't give it a chance. With Dre cradled in her arms, Lily turned away from the creek, heart heavy but the warmth of hope ignited in her chest. Let us go, she shouted, but even as they walked away, Lily felt the shadows, watching the weight of the revelation looming like a storm on the horizon. We'll face it again, she vowed, her voice steady against the cold breeze. We will. Together. And in that moment of determination, she turned toward the uncertain future, resolve burning bright, a light fierce enough to confront the shadows that had threatened to drown her dreams. This time, she wouldn't just run. She would stand and fight. Now more than ever, the feeling harmonized in her soul. They were alive, and that meant they had a chance. Don't miss your moment to join our community. Subscribe immediately to the channel, so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and strengthen our bond. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this emotional conclusion. And for the love of everything good, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to experience this powerful story. You need to show your support now. Don't wait even one more second to share.